Hey UX freaks, welcome to UX Tigers, the home of fearless usability in all Jacob Nielsen's work. Let me paint you a picture. Remember when your mom finally got on Facebook? That moment when you realized social media wasn't just for college kids anymore? Well, that's happening with AI right now, except it's happening at warp speed. We're talking 1.8 billion humans using AI tools, with 600 million hitting up ChatGPT daily like it's their morning coffee. And honestly, for some of us, it basically is. Now, Jacob's channeling Jeffrey Moore's classic Crossing the Chasm theory here. And if you're not familiar with it, let me give you the TLDR. Basically, there's this massive gap between the early adopters, those people who bought Google Glass and actually wore them in public, and the early majority, aka normal humans who just want things to work. Moore calls this gap the chasm, and most technologies die trying to cross it. They run out of steam, money, or patience before they can make the leap from cool tech demo to thing your aunt uses. Here's where it gets juicy for us UX folks. The early adopters, they love complexity. They're the people who read documentation for fun. They'll spend 3 hours customizing their terminal prompt colors. These are not our target users, people. If we design based on their feedback, we're basically building a spaceship cockpit when most users just need a doorknob. And this is exactly what's happening with AI right now. Some use cases have already pole vaulted across that chasm, like using AI for product research. I mean, 57% of American shoppers are now asking ChatGPT what vacuum cleaner to buy instead of opening 17 browser tabs and having an existential crisis. That's mainstream, baby. But then you've got other areas like AI and healthcare diagnosis where only 12% of doctors are using it, despite research showing AI often outperforms human physicians. Talk about a trust issue. Anyway, the data shows some fascinating patterns. China, the US, India, and the Gulf states, they're already on the other side of the chasm, sipping mocktails and wondering what took everyone else so long. Meanwhile, Europe and Japan are standing at the edge, looking down nervously like they're about to bungee jump for the first time. Denmark, supposedly one of Europe's most advanced countries, has only 28% of firms using AI. Romania and Bulgaria, 5%. 5. That's not adoption, that's a rounding error. Now here's what kills me, and what should terrify every European UX designer watching this. Negative media coverage, like that whole stochastic parrot nonsense, has created abysmal AI optimism scores. The US has a pathetic 42% optimism rate, which Jacob calls disgraceful. And honestly, he's not wrong. But at least Americans are using this stuff. Europe's sitting there being skeptical while Asia is basically building the future. But let's get practical here. What does this mean for us as UX professionals? Well, first off, we need to understand why some AI applications are sailing across the chasm while others are face planting into it. The winners? They've got what Jeffrey Moore calls the whole product. Everything a normal person needs to actually use the thing. Done. Enterprise AI that requires you to restructure your entire data warehouse and hire 3 data scientists, yeah, that's still dangling by its fingertips over the chasm. Here's another gem from Jacob's article that made me laugh and cry simultaneously. 95% of internal build-it-ourselves AI projects fail. 95%. That's like imagine if 95% of the websites we design just didn't work. We'd all be unemployed. Yet companies keep thinking they can DIY their AI solutions. Spoiler alert, they can't. And then there's the whole shadow AI phenomenon. Over half of employees are secretly using AI tools even when their companies ban them. They're getting promotions and bonuses for their improved productivity, while their bosses think they just suddenly got really good at their jobs. It's like the corporate equivalent of using a calculator during a mental math competition. Sneaky? Yes. Smart? Also yes. The e-commerce stats really blow my mind, though. A quarter of people think ChatGPT gives better product recommendations than Google. Google, the company that literally knows what you searched for at 3 a.m. last Tuesday. And users are saying AI makes shopping less overwhelming, 28% specifically. As UX designers, we've been trying to reduce cognitive overload for decades, and here comes AI basically doing our job for us. Should we be worried? Maybe. Should we be learning how to design for this new reality? Absolutely. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets really interesting for us. The transition from search-based to conversation-based interfaces changes everything. We're not designing pages for scanning anymore, we're designing for dialogue. It's like we spent years perfecting the art of the billboard and suddenly everyone wants a conversation. SEO is becoming GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. And if you're not thinking about how your content shows up in AI responses, you're already behind. The trust factor is huge too. The study shows 85% of people worry about privacy and irrelevant recommendations from AI. That's our job, folks. We need to design transparency into these systems. Users should be able to ask, "Why did you recommend this?" and get a real answer, not some algorithmic hand-waving. And can we talk about that stat showing AI reduced BMW's vehicle defects by 60%? Or Shell processing 20 billion sensor readings per week? These aren't pilot programs anymore. This is production-level, money-making, problem-solving AI. The chasm isn't just crossed, there's a 6-lane highway bridge over it in some industries. The geographic divide is particularly striking. Young workers in Ghana, India, and Kenya, they're all over AI, with 91% saying it makes their job more enjoyable. Meanwhile, we've hand-wringing academics in New York and Berlin writing think pieces about the dangers of AI, while regular folks in Nairobi are using it to triple their productivity.
All right, Project Phoenix, let's optimize those Q4 projections and bring up the synergy metrics.
The irony is delicious. So, where does this leave us? Well, if you're a UX designer today and you're not actively thinking about AI integration, you're basically ignoring the biggest shift in user behavior since we left punch cards behind. The early adopters have done their thing, and now the normies are here. They don't want to understand embeddings or transformers, they want stuff that works. My advice? Start thinking about AI not as this separate, scary thing, but as a new design material. Just like we learned to design for touch interfaces and voice commands, we need to learn to design for AI interactions. The chasm is being crossed as we speak, and we can either help build the bridge or watch from the sidelines as others do it for us. And please, for the love of good design, let's not make the same mistakes we made with every other technology transition. Let's not just slap an AI chatbot on everything and call it innovation. Let's think about the whole product, the complete experience, the actual human needs we're trying to solve. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a website, an app, or an AI assistant, our job remains the same. Make technology work for humans, not the other way around. Even if those humans are secretly using AI to do their jobs while pretending they're just naturally gifted. We see you, Shadow AI users. We see you. Please like my video and subscribe to Jacob Nielsen's newsletter at UX Tigers to make sure to receive his latest insights every week.